Alright, so we're starting this new account and we're gonna see how well it goes. So, 1 month before contingency contract, how far can a free-to-play account get? Of course, I have a little bit of experience, so it might not be a complete representation, but here's the rules for it. I can use pure Originite for recruitment and headhunting, and also for the leveling packs. I can't use them on refreshing for sanity. And that's about it. I'll be going for the meta as far as I can, and I guess the goal is to get as far in CC as we can, including the permanent map and the freaking daily maps too. So, starting off, we'll take a look at our box, right? So, I chose to roll for Hoshiguma for one main reason. In the daily CCs and in the permanent map, a lot of the stuff relies on you to either have a high level of operators or specific operators. Now, if you don't have either of those two, the best option you can do is to have a certain defender to tank the axe boys that are in the permanent map. So with that in mind, we would either want Quora or Hoshiguma. Now we were unsure whether or not we were going to get a Quora from the 10 rolls, and Hoshiguma, since she's in the beginner banner, which we'll see right over here, she's rather easy to get. But during the reroll, we were able to get both, so we'll be working with both. We also have managed to snag a Telopsis and a Spectre, so those two will also be pretty useful in the roles as for clearing maps. Telopsis for SP regen and high healing for the dailies, Spectre for undying guts and stuff like that. And also Summoners and Perfumer, so this is a rather good box to start off with. So, let's just start by clearing this map, I guess. Oh, this is gonna be so much fun. I say this with full sarcasm, by the way. Let's just select everybody, and let's go. So I guess the main thing that I'm going to have to watch out for is how I manage my sanity. Because I only have 1 month and I can't do refills, so I'm going to be completely relying on the sanity that is given to me by the game, which includes the daily regenerations from the event, natural sanity regeneration, the 240 every single day. Of course, if I don't cap, which I will be doing a lot with like the first 20 levels or so like that. And then I guess the other thing to watch out for would be the fact of how inefficient I am at farming the daily rotation maps. So for example, CELS, I want to get to CELS 5 as soon as possible. But with that in mind, it's not that possible to get to CELS 5 with an E0 max, with an Elite 0 max level operators. I'm going to have to go for Elite 1, possibly Elite 1 maximum to get to the to get and complete LSCE 5 because of how the requirements are. I would be a lot more confident if I had somebody like Siege, for example, to clear LS5, or somebody like Exia to clear CE5. But because they aren't available, the requirement and difficulty for CE5 does become a lot more higher. So that's something to keep in mind for me to handle, and it's definitely something very, very interesting to see how it turns out. Now, another thing is whether or not building up the base is going to be beneficial to me. So we all know that base management is a huge part of the game in terms of reducing the sanity you need to raise up other operators, in the sense that it generates passive income, right? You get around 30k Lungman dollars and 30k EXP, at least, well, on an average. Some people get 50k, some people get 20k, depending on how much you micromanage stuff like this. But it's definitely something interesting to talk about, because we only have 1 month. how much sanity can I input into this base to make it beneficial to me, in the sense that I can cut off, or where's the cutoff? How much sanity is worth putting in? Do I build up to 2nd floor? Do I build up to 3rd floor? And how quick do I need to build it up before CC event comes to make it beneficial to me and not be a waste instead? Whereas I can directly put this sanity into the... I can directly put the sanity into making materials for my eliteing my operators, Hoshiguma for example, and stuff like that. So that's definitely something that needs to be calculated or something like that. Of course, experimentation at its best. We only know until we actually do it. Everything is backseat gaming in theory before that. So with that being said, another thing that I guess I have to watch out for is... Now I guess this one's the most important. How much resources do I put into my low stars versus how much resources I put into my high stars? So we've all been... A lot of CC content creators have all been... Well, I wouldn't say arguing, but we've been talking about like, okay, so is it better to E2 because you can get more risks on your daily map? Or is it better to do stuff like E1 your whole team in the case that you don't have enough mats to E2? Excuse me for 1 second as I focus on the game. There we go. So then, we already know that the... Okay, so we'll be using some of the rewards to our advantage. We already know that the first 2 3-stars that are leveled up to E130 are free. They're essentially free because you get all the materials back. So I'll definitely be doing that. But anything past that might be a sunken cost, because it's difficult to say whether or not they'll actually work, because I haven't tried it myself either. The problem is, while the base maps of the daily rotation... Oh, by the way, yeah. Speaking of which, so for this account, we'll be mostly focusing on how much stuff we can get from the CC maps, right? So with that in mind, we're going to be focusing mostly on the daily maps because those are overall more easier and more gainable for risks, more risk rewards in general. So with the CC map, I expect to clear somewhere around 10 at the most. If I'm lucky, I'll clear around 12, maybe 14. But we're going to be focusing mostly on the daily rotation maps. Anyhow, so back to the conversation on the 3-stars. Do I raise them, and to what extent? Do I only raise 2, or do I raise a full squad? Because the daily maps, as I've said a lot of times, they're fairly easy and you're able to beat them with 3 stars, E1 level 30s. But as you add the risks on, as the enemies gain like plus 50% attack, plus 50% range, all of this adds up, and you're going to be needing something more than E130s, something along the lines of E155s as a basis, the very, very low baseline to start working with, and then you have like maybe a few carries. For example, Hoshiguma is probably going to be my carry. I'm more than likely going to borrow something like a Silver Ash support, or AF Ayala, or maybe even Siege support, because of how strong her early game is and stuff like that. So then, it's really... It's like, you never know how it's going to turn out. I'm really scared of how this thing is going to turn out. It's like, okay, will I completely fall flat on my face, or will this be absolutely insane? Also, this is actually quite a good time to start, because like we have all these banners. Unfortunately, I don't have the Arundum right now, but hopefully with the levels up, I'll be able to get these in time. How much time do I have left for this one? Let me check the time. I have 2 days left for this one, so I'll prioritize this, and then I'll probably go for this banner. So, where were we? So, do I level up the 3-star operators, and how many do I level up, if I do level them up? For sure, I know that I will be going for a Cruise. Yes. She does seem fairly useful even at E1 max. So, there's that, and she's, of course, there's 3 stars, so they're cheap. I'm not sure if Rangers will make it to though, but he will be useful in the early LS stages, especially LS3 and LS4, so I'll be raising him. Not to mention E0 level 30 is fairly easy. Melantha seems like a potential pick, but I feel like that's actually a bait for this situation as for the CC that I'm trying to clear. Because overall, even though if I do have a duelist card, that means I have something to deal with the AoE mage that appears in the Wolf Rush stage. Let me fast forward this really quick. But then that means I'm putting in resources into this duelist, whereas I can probably do the same thing by just setting up a front line in the Wolf map and just healing through it with good healers, because I have Telapsis. And bursting down the mages with like something like Hokodayo to the side and something like that. It's like you can see like there's a lot of stuff going on in the background at the same time of this game, like all these decisions you have to make, all these compromises that you have to make, and I wouldn't have really thought of it before trying this thing, and it really is something quite amazing. I'm not gonna lie, like playing this game all over again. And it, like, even though this team right now is a mess, we're able to power through it because of how easy the early stages are. Of course, as the stages go on, you're gonna see me fail more and more and more and more. Of course, I'll cut those stuff out unless you see some. I'll cut those places out most of the time. You'll just see like fail after fail after fail, and then you'll know like, hey, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fail count, and stuff like that. But anyhow, so it's really something interesting to look out for. It's like, okay, is Meteor an okay pick because there's a lot of defense high enemies over there for that stage? Would that defense down be good because overall I don't have enough levels to kill them, assumingly, during CC event? So will this extra support in that defense down help? Honestly I doubt it, but it's something that can be also considered. On the topic of healers or defenders, also guards, not much to say. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm sure a lot of people want to ask this. Why didn't I go for Silver Ash or, let's say, somebody like Aya Fayala? Instead, I went for Hoshiguma. I explained it already that, yes, tank was hard to get, but I already got a Korra, so like, it's like, why are you doing this to yourself? Well, I guess it's because it's still the best option, because, remember, we always have supports. A lot of people do pick their support units as Silver Ash or Aya Fayala because those are the best units and have the highest chance of people using them. Of course, you could also go against the flow and choose somebody not use, like, for example, a friend of mine raised up Nightmare Gloria to E2 level 90 or something like that, and she is very, very useful in the situation that she appears in, that she needs to be in. Well, so that was the main reason of why I didn't pick those two. I guess if I really wanted to, I could go for Saria, because of how she's a healer, she's a tank, and also does a fair amount of DPS in the early game when the levels are low, which is going to be useful for the CC content stuff, where for example, the Wolf Rush, the wolves have fairly low defense, and you can use that to your advantage with Saria. Although, the thing about that is that I would have to reroll a lot longer, and I already felt bad enough about rerolling so much. So there is that. But yeah, we're just going to clear up the maps right now. We're going to try to be as efficient as possible. Oh, this is too much fun. Are you Doctor? You will die in the streets of Lungmen. Nice to meet you. I'm Jessica. Oh man. Well, we're just gonna have a fun time and enjoy time and see how well I do on these maps, I guess. It's definitely something interesting when you go back and play the game repeatedly, like start from scratch and stuff like that. You get to see like different things that you didn't see before. Of course, I'm not really listening, I'm just talking to myself, talking to you, the viewer that is watching this video that is pre-recorded. First time trying this, I hope this turns out well. But anyhow, it's definitely interesting to say that, like, as you play, if you play the game again, start from scratch level 1, you'll notice that, okay, I didn't notice this thing before in this previous map, and now I have this new setup. Or maybe you're just locked in your old setup, where you're like, okay, this worked for me last time, and so it's gonna work for me again this time. But in reality, it changes because of how your operator pool has changed. Well, of course, that's barring the fact that if you only use, like, the already given operators, which is highly the case. But if you use somebody like Hoshigumo for the first one, and this time you're using somebody like, I don't know, you got some like Silver Ash, then that's something to be considered, I guess. And it's just really something to look forward to for yourself, I guess, as you watch yourself grow from this game and stuff like that. We're gonna see this very quick. It looks like she has enough. Yes. Alright, that's nice. We'll just put down a Hoshigumo over here and more than likely call it a day for now. It's like, so one of my own difficulties I had, because so this is probably the 6th time I'm playing through the early missions again. The first time in open beta in CN Arknights, the second time in the actual release of the Chinese Arknights, and then the 4th and 5th time with the beta and the actual release of EN. And now this CC challenge, of which we're going to see how well we do. So back in the day, I remember my very first run in that time was that my argument, I absolutely refused to raise any snipers at all. They were cheap, but I was like, okay, why would I raise snipers if casters could do the same thing? They were just a little bit more expensive, but essentially they did the same thing. The only thing the snipers had different than the casters was that the snipers, they pew drones first. I was like, that's not too big of an issue. And then later on in the stages, there was this one stage where you had, you know, the place where all the drones are coming from all the sides. Also, yeah, leveling, let's see. I believe level 5 should do for now, because it's fairly early into the game. Fairly early into the map, I'm able to do this with the low levels and stuff like that. Let's also level up a few of our other operators too at the same time. So then back onto the topic of the drones, you kind of have this situation where, you know, the one where the drones like go around this whole perimeter, and then you have like 2 exits with 4 walkways and stuff like that. So then the first time I did that, I had so much problem doing that because I didn't have a single sniper raised at all. And it was it was difficult. I got walled at that stage, as much as I hate to admit it. No, I'm not some god. I just have a bit more experience and thought a bit more about the stuff. But it was like I was stuck there, and then people were like, "Okay, why don't you just use a sniper?" I'm like, "But why raise a sniper?" And then they were like, "Bro, just raise a sniper, man." So then I did it, and immediately I had Exia at that time as my first pull. So then, yeah, imagine not using Exia, right? Exucii. But anyhow, so then I raised her, and then wow, she completely just dominated the whole left side of which I placed her, while my right side was still very, very dangerous, and with all its saves from like just pure DPS and stuff like that. And then it was like, okay, so then I actually have to use snipers. But then, being the stubborn me, I still refused to raise snipers during that time of the beta of CN. So then, as time went on, the third open beta of CN ended, and then we waited until the actual release of Arknights. So then this time I actually raised up snipers, right? And then I was like, okay, I can see what I was doing wrong this whole time. I personally thought that, okay, 9 cost versus somebody like Amiya, 18 cost. And the 9 cost is immediately refunded by Siege, which I had that time. Siege immediately friends 12 cost off the top of my head, if I remember correctly, with their skill 1. So I was like, it's just 1 extra pool of refunding. And then, wow, really, just the amount of difference the cost makes in the early game, just by having that little difference, did make stuff so much more easier, especially because they don't have any armor at all. And, well, I feel like I'm just rambling on and on about stuff, and I hope you guys just enjoy this because it's, I don't know, talking to myself. Oh yeah, I also read something funny the other day. Somebody, you know how like all those 1-star reviews on Arknights and stuff like that, if you read them sometimes, it really does bring out the hilarity and sometimes the ignorance of a few people. I mean, it's not, I'm not to say that they're bad or something like that, it's just that sometimes game mechanics are really hard to understand, especially for me, for example. Like, there's just so many little details. For example, right here, I'm facing Plume backwards instead of forwards, so that she can actually hit the enemies that go over here instead. Now, the first time we were doing this as a noob, a lot of people will just face Plume left, and then let Fang do the work all by herself. Whereas as you gain more experience, you start to see these things where like, okay, I can do this and do like this little funnel thing. And it's just amazing how much progression that you actually, experience that you actually gain just from playing the game. And like, when you look back to your old clears, it's just so much fun to see. Oh gosh, I was so bad back then. Even now though, it's like as you clear the new maps, and maybe as for example, right now Obsidian Festival is almost going to get a rerun in the Chinese server. It's planned, but we don't have it yet, but it's planned. So like we'll be able to see our old clears, and then we'll be able to critique it ourselves. And I really hope it does happen on EN2 soon, as we catch up. So then you guys will be able to see like, holy shoot, what was I doing back then? What was the strategy that I was trying to do? Do I need that many snipers? I don't think so. Let me change off a few snipers really quick. I'm going to take Jessica and take off Cruz, Jessica, and Vanilla. We'll see how well this turns out. So then it's like you watch yourself. For example, if you think back to your GT5 runs, those of you that have recorded or you remember how well you did it, it's like, okay, why was I doing this strategy instead of this other strategy? Assuming that you came up with the strategy yourself. For example, I came up with the strategy of just using Siege skill 3 because I had her at the time to just slam the hell out of Big Bob, and that worked for me. But would I do it again? Kind of, yes, but more for the memes and less for the actual clear. It's really just a lot of stuff you don't tend to see until you've actually like practiced with the game and stuff like that. And it's just wow. It's simply wow. Alright, let's get out let's get out a sniper. We're gonna need a sniper soon. So then you can also critique yourself doing stupid shit like this, which is like, okay, my front line, my choke point is over here, while all of my my DPS is over here. So I could probably just put down Hoshiguma over here, which is still in range of Telopsis, and start to retreat my other operators. As soon as Fang gets her cost, I'll retreat her and maybe swap out for somebody else again. Maybe a magic caster this time. Now she's out of range, but thankfully there's no ranged enemies right now, so Ami is not going to get hit at all, I assume. But yeah, as you play the game and as you watch yourself evolve, pretty fun to watch as it goes along the way. It's like maybe back then I absolutely hated Silver Ash. I still hate Silver Ash, that is to say. But it's like, it's undeniable that he is the strongest operator, and he does solve a lot of issues with just swing and stuff like that. Why did I get to this one again? Oh yeah, because as you play the game and as you evolve your thoughts and whatnot, what your evaluations of today, your evaluation of an operator today might be different from that of your evaluation of the operator 2 months ago, 3 months ago, maybe even 1 day ago. As like you talk to other people and as you learn other strategies and as you find some other combos and stuff like that. It's really just talk and learn and play. Of course, speaking of which, they're still organizing tax, what a pain. Let's also talk about the topic of freaking... One second. There's 2 of them. Do I have enough cost? I don't know. Well, this might be a little bit dicey. Hopefully they'll be able to survive until I can get the first sniper out. Yes. So personally, I think that a funny thing to say for the EN server watching a lot of the CN clears for contingency contract, I don't feel like you're really going to be copying. Because, you know what they say, like, knowing is half the battle? Well, it goes both ways. If you know what's going to come up, then you already won half the battle, right? But there's still the other half which needs to be solved, which is actually the execution of the map, right? Now, there's just so many things that can go wrong in CC. One second. I need a little bit more DPS. Can I retreater? Not enough cost for now. So, even though you're watching these clears, unless you have the exact same level, exact same mastery, or exact same... let's say... One second. Focusing again. Press that. Retreat that. Do this. And I think we're good. So, it's like, even though you've already saw how the people clear, there's still a lot of nuisance to the timings and stuff. Nuisance? Well, both. There's still a lot of micromanagement that you have to do with the timings and stuff like that to make yourself clear the map. And even, like, I mean, if you really wanted to be like, okay, I'll just copycat, 100% copycat, you could just like put the video to the side and just do it step for step as you're watching this stuff. But even then, there's still a high chance of you missing something because of how specific and sometimes how many fronts you have to manage. Remember, there's around 4 or 5 lanes. There's 5 different enemies in the permanent map, and there's 4 lanes to manage. Sometimes, depending on the strat, you're managing all 4 lanes all at the same time. You immediately put down somebody on the top lane, you press the skill on the bottom lane, and left lane needs you to time the skill right with the swing of the axe and stuff like that. So then sometimes it's a lot of stuff to manage. Of course, there's other strategies where it's just like, oh, everybody is on skill 1 auto, and all you have to do is watch out for somebody like Swart's skill timing. And it's a lot more manageable like that. But even then, I don't believe it's quote-unquote copying, because I feel like I'm repeating myself now. I don't feel like it's copying at all. Like, you've copied the formation, I guess? You've copied the thought, but you don't necessarily have the thought process, which is at least what I try to give you in my videos. How these operators work well, not how these operators, how these maps work with these certain operators, and how you can use these operators to your advantage, these different operators to your advantage. For example, I'm not sure if anybody has shown on YouTube of the sniper clear of CC18 or CC22, or Risk 18 or Risk 22. Now that one was actually pretty amazing. So you would think most of the time I see shield mobs, I see shield fries, the little small fries that are shielded, and you see these things and you're like, okay, they get plus 50% increased defense. I'm not going to even bother with snipers. I'm just going to use casters, AF Ayala, to kill these guys, which is the usual knee-jerk reaction, which will be I can't English. It's the reaction that everybody will say, and it's the correct reaction to have too. I will agree with that. But then, what if I had an E2 maxed swords and province? I can use the high attack ability from these two operators and absolutely demolish the shrimps, the little shield mobs, because of that high damage penetrating the defense of those mobs, which only have around 500, while swords and province, am I pronouncing right? Province have like what, 1,000 attack, up to like 2,000, 3,000, even 4,000 if you use sword skill 3. Let me speed this up really quick. And well, it's like, who would have thought that would have got an E2 22 clear? Sorry, not E2 22. A Risk 22 clear, if I remember off the top of my head. It was something ridiculous like that. And then it's like, okay, nobody thought of that. How well can you use it? Can't English. Somebody thought of that. How can I use it to my advantage and improve on it? So I feel like that's the thing that you want to look out for. As you copy these strategies, you incorporate it into your own strategy. For example, you can copy it, but you can add a little bit of flavor, and maybe somebody else will see that and they'll learn something too. Like, wait, what was this? Oh, we're talking about support units. Let's just take meteor for excuse me. And well, wow, this has been going on for 32 minutes. I've been talking to myself 32 minutes. I never knew that I had so much to talk about on Arknights. Hopefully it never runs out on stuff. And I hope you're all entertained. I should probably stop this now and just do a second recording, shouldn't I? Lol, oh my gosh. But back onto the topic. It's like, okay, so now I know about this strategy and stuff like that. I can start using it into my own strategy, and then as the community evolves by copying each other and referencing off each other, we'll be able to find a lot more stuff. For example, I heard that one of the Brain Lab members said that Swire is going to be, of course this is rumors, that Swire is going to be essential for a Risk 26 clear, which was not achieved even on the CN server. Also, in hindsight, I should have placed Vanilla over here and Fang over here because Vanilla has the higher attack. Slightly. Let's put down a healer really quick though. Let's see. And we'll call it a day. But it's definitely something that I feel like I have a different viewpoint for stuff. You're not copying, you're referencing. Although it's two sides of the same coin. Flip side of the same coin. Yeah. Anyhow. So we're just gonna keep on clearing stuff, and I guess I'll fast forward after this, and I'll get back to you guys next time, I guess. Up, level 1 to level 2. Let's stop the recording here. That's a lot of stuff for me to probably edit. So, see you guys next time for now.